He is the main person behind the scene, inspiring us all to get together to the place. His Holiness Bhaktimarga Swami Maharaj. And Maharaj will be also our key speaker today. He will give the keynote speech for 7 minutes. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome His Holiness Bhaktimarga Maharaj to take the mic. Thank you.
Haribol, I hope you're all enjoying the wetness. When I walked through Ireland, it was quite an experience. It rained every day that I walked for 2 weeks. And that's how I got trained up. When I walked through Ireland, I thought, I don't know why they call it Ireland. It should be Indraland. Anyways, here's what happened in Butler just the other day. The Butler Eagle, which is the local newspaper, and myself and my associates, team support members, have been seeing the mailboxes of what's up as far as what people read in the area. So it is the Butler Eagle in this area. So we were very touched that the newspaper came here. The first newspaper that did an article about Prabhupada, and where it's quoted that he said, if Americans could pay more attention to their spiritual life, they would be much happier. That's what he said. So here's what came out the other day on the front page with a colored photo and then the insert on page 5. Okay, and believe me, it's not about me, it's about Prabhupada. So back to the beginning, that's how it's entitled, right? Fantastic. And this is Thursday, October 22nd, 2015. Walking monk arrives in Butler. ISKCON founder also stayed here by Philip Rao, Eagle staff writer. Bhaktimarga Swami seemed to appear out of nowhere Wednesday morning on the corner of McKeon and Jefferson Streets across Cubs Hall. His light orange garment was pristine despite the 14 miles he had walked. Swami, also known as the walking monk, had begun walking at 5:45 a.m., making his way from Worthington to the building in Butler that borders on a holy site for him. It was here on South McKeon Street in 1965 where Swami's teacher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, stayed for about a month at the beginning of a journey he hoped would allow him to teach love and peace in America. Pretty good so far, right? Prabhupada would eventually move to New York City and open a storefront temple on the Lower East Side on his way to founding a religious community known as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, also known as the Hare Krishna movement. ISKCON, which teaches principles based on Dharma, a key concept in the Indian religions, proved popular in both the East and West. Swami was born in 1952 in Chatham, Ontario, Canada. He was named John Peter Viss and adopted a monastic life in 1973. Of Prabhupada, Swami said, I think he had some impact in a humble, small way on the world. His teacher, who arrived, I'm flipping to page 5, on the world religion scene in the 1960s at a time of counterculture and waning conservatism, would meet and advise the members of the Beatles on matters of spirituality. His creation, ISKCON, has grown into a worldwide community with more than 600 temples and outreach efforts that now feed more than 1 million Indian school children every day, according to the organization. Swami, standing on the steps of Cubs Hall, said he traces all that back to the former YMCA building. Quote, the seeds of what he started were planted here, Swami said. It all kind of started in good old Butler, Pennsylvania. That's the reason for Wednesday's visit by Swami. the monk called his stop in Butler a milestone and a brief walking trek that has taken him from Boston into Pennsylvania and will lead him back to New York City, following the path of Prabhupada's stateside travels. From 4 to 7 p.m. Saturday, Swami and ISKCON will celebrate the 50th anniversary of Prabhupada's visit to Butler with a public celebration on the 3rd floor of the Grand Ballroom, 201 South Main Street. And here we are. That's my comment. The free event will include a live musical meditation, talks from spiritual teachers, and a free vegetarian meal. Swami said his message to people who seek out his guidance is both simple and complex. Quote, "We need to walk more and make it more of a meditative experience," he said. "I think the ultimate goal in the end is to clear your head before you leave this world, to clear the cobwebs." Swami has walked across Canada 4 times since his first cross-country marathon walk in 1996. He's also walked to Israel, Guyana, Ireland, among other countries. He said his marathon walks have exposed people's common characteristics despite their cultural and social differences. And of course, in America, there's Dunkin' Donuts everywhere we go. Okay, people demonstrate their big-heartedness and also their indifference, Swami said. Every day you hanker for some sort of human interaction, and it does come in all sorts of different ways. On Swami's walk through New York State, he met police officers who were investigating calls about a man wearing orange, the color of Swami's traditional saffron dhoti denoting his celibacy, and sleeping by the side of the road. The officers thought Swami might be an escaped convict. Swami's walk through Pennsylvania, during which he had been staying with friends and acquaintances, has brought him into contact with Amish communities whose work ethic, the monk says, has impressed and heartened him. Quote, "In Pennsylvania country, I see it's much to do about family, food, work, and God." That's good. Swami wrote in a post Monday on Facebook page, which is chronicling his trek. So that's the super positive article about what came in the Butler Eagle, and we want to thank those people, the staff members, for that, doing that nice article. So I've been in touch with our communication devotees from, like, including Uttama and Vrindavan and others about this walk, and we decided this is what was going to be our trek. And I started doing these walks through whatever weather conditions, just to feel more like a Swami. I mean, sometimes you get caught up in administrative tasks, even as a sannyasi in our movement, and that's all very fine and dandy, and it's seva, and it's important. But it's also important to live, walk the talk, and be a Swami, and get out there and meet people. And it's been a blast, I'd say. I just want to thank the devotees thus far, and who will continue to be with us for most of the way. Vivaswan especially, my navigator and driver and cameraman and all that. Where are you, by the way? Are you in the vicinity? We stepped out to what we call go to the cornfield when you're walking. Okay, and I want to thank Trayvon, who joined us in Hartford. Are you there, Trayvon? There you are. Do you want to give us a stand up? Because without you, yeah. We can say he's a new devotee, so we have a Bhakti training program right on the road. It's amazing how it works out. You don't know what the walk is going to bring, or the road is going to give you. And then also Karuna Sindhu joined us for a bit, and he's going back to India in a few days. Karuna Sindhu, superstar organic prep kitchen man and co-walker. Karuna Sindhu, please stand up. Haribol. And joining us is another devotee, Mandala from Ottawa, who's going to be with us. So we're packed in a van, 5 guys. Most of us are skinny. I'm the fattest one. But I'm trying to do something about that. That's why I'm walking. Okay, so anyways, we just want to encourage devotees to go more this direction. Spend a little time where you will do pilgrimage. Pilgrimage isn't limited to India. Don't think it is. Pilgrimage is what you make it. Pilgrimage sites. And it's your home, it's your street, it's your people. And why can't America have, a history of that? There's the most famous walking places in Spain called the Camino de Compostela. And people go there and they come back changed. So that change is like a good one, a good transition. You take time for yourself. It's a prayerful walk. And of course in India, where we have all pretty much adapted to the culture that is the roots of India, a spiritual one, and there's a whole history of people walking and doing parikrama. And we need to do that a little bit more. I have one friend from Canada who walked to Canada. I went once across, and he did some research. There's only one place which is kind of an official pilgrimage place, and it's from Montreal to Quebec City. And I thought, that's pathetic. It's great that they do it. And there's like crucifixes all along the way every few kilometers or miles. But, we need more places like that where people will go for a spiritual journey. And that's always been an analogy in life, Life is like going on a road or a trail, and you meet with good and bad elements, and you just go through it all. And in the end, we're supposed to be meeting Krishna at the end. And if it's not Krishna, if that's not your anticipation, just enjoy the walk. We spoke about that a little bit in New Vrindavan this morning. Some devotees, they're interested to go back to Godhead, but I'm personally happy to not go back to Godhead and just to take birth again in this Hare Krishna movement and do more walking and because it's, like I said earlier, it's a blast. And so there's a few slogans that I've used in the past with newspapers in the public. If you walk, you rock. More walking, less squawking. So if people take a little more time for this, especially in the morning, and with japa beads and so on, all the better, then think about how the medical bills will go down. Think about how you will meet people along the way. That's what happens, the magic of meeting people. We're all in cars. And I spoke to Ambarish about this before. Ambarish, great-grandson of Alfred Ford. And I said, once, this was about 4 years ago, I said, Ambarish, I just want to admit to you something. I hope it doesn't hurt your feelings, but I don't like cars. I just don't like them. I don't like what they've done to the world. And he said, Maharaj, it's okay. I don't like them either. So this is really perhaps a revolutionary thing to kind of go back. It's hard to go back. It's hard to go back at what was good. But there's some things that we must revisit, and because it's good for you on every level, physical, social, psychological, and ultimately spiritual. Prabhupada did it. Prabhupada did. We just walked from the Y, the old Y, to the Agarwal's place. And that's not a big deal. But he did go on longer walks in the morning. So he led the example, and we need to do that. And we need to start caring about ourselves. And wherever I go in my travels, not always walking. Sometimes I take a jet. I cheat. And sometimes people ask, have you learned how to walk on the water yet? I said, I haven't mastered that yet. Then what I find is that diabetes, heart conditions some of the heavy-duty problems, challenges that devotees face. So to counteract that, let's get more into the walking and meet your neighbor. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, Bhaktimarga Swami Maharaj, for your wonderful talk.